Welcome back to the double leg. I'm one half of the show, Hey Jai Picks. The other half of the show, the parlay, joining me in a recap from UFC Vegas 80. Let's get into it. Once again, weird stuff happening at the Apex. We got 10 fights to recap here. One of them we lost on the day of the fight. Felipe Lins pulled out with some medical issues. So 10 fights to recap here. A lot of weird stuff going on, as I alluded to. But what do you think of the card overall? I know you were kind of in and out of watching, but how'd it go for you?
Yeah, I ended up going back and watching basically every fight. And on the night, I went up 2.15 units by the skin of my teeth. Joe Pyfer, round 2 submission at plus 1,600 took me home. You know, that's the way it goes sometimes. I was telling you after the fights, this thing's a roller coaster, man. Like, what a wild night. It seems like every week something wild happens. I lost the first 2 bets of the night, which were 2 of my bigger bets, and then was halfway watching the Demopolis fight, and I had her on the money line. And I thought I lost that one. I didn't even watch the decision, and it wasn't until 10 hours later I went back and realized I won. So from there, I went on kind of a run, got back to near even, and Joe Pyfer took us home.
Yeah, for once, we're on the right side of a weird decision with Demopolis because we were both on Demopolis money line. So happy about that. We'll talk about that later. But for me, I went up 0.6 units on the night, so we're in the green. I'll chalk that up as a dub. Obviously, a couple tough beats. Mendonça screwing the parlay. Grant Dawson, biggest play on the night, gets knocked out in 30 seconds. We'll talk about that as well. But if you're on the DFS plays, those absolutely smacked. We only had 1 loss on the night, and 1 fight, the Kudalaba fight, got pulled, so we lost an opportunity there. But overall, smacked the DFS on underdog and parlay play. So stay tuned for that in the next week. But let's get into the card and recap it fight by fight. We'll go over the main card mostly and touch on the prelims if we got anything to talk about there. We'll start with the main event. Bobby Green getting it done in 33 seconds against Grant Dawson. Big underdog in that one. I was flabbergasted just watching that happen. I'm like, did that really? I was in shock for the next 30 minutes to an hour. I'm like, did that really just happen? Who could have called Bobby Green knocking him out in 30 seconds? Like, if you would have thought Bobby Green, you probably would have thought like later in the fight, maybe Grant Dawson slows down a little bit, stuffing takedowns, but right away, like, when was the last time Bobby Green had a knockout in the first round, let alone a one-shot knockout? Like, knocked him out with a jab. Dawson goes down, hammer fist, puts him out. I was shocked. I expected Grant Dawson to it looked like he tried to feel it out a little bit on the feet. It was 30 seconds, so I'm not going to fault him for like not shooting for the first 30 seconds. But just got caught. That's the game. Like, you get caught sometimes, and Bobby Green really had nothing to lose in that spot. Unranked, fighting a ranked guy, goes out there and gets it done. What'd you think?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you how I found out Bobby Green won by knockout in 30 seconds. So, like we alluded to earlier, I was busy last night. I was at the Blues Blackhawks hockey game, and it just gets done. I look at my phone, I open TikTok, and I see a clip of Grant Dawson before the fights, a few days before the fight, saying, you know what, I'm confident if I can't get the takedowns, I'm going to be able to stand and strike with Bobby Green. And I scroll one more video down, and it's Bobby Green knocking Grant Dawson out in the 30 seconds. So, yeah, super surprising, though. And, that's Bobby Green pitching a shutout, man. 0 knockdowns, 0 punches landed, 0 takedowns for Grant Dawson, just zeros across the board. Bobby Green getting it done. I'll tell you what came to my mind first was that doesn't look bad on Tony Ferguson now. Tony Ferguson lasted all the way till the very end, taking those big shots. And, he's got a big fight with Patty coming up. And Grant Dawson couldn't take 7 shots from Bobby Green. And it looked like a jab that sat him down. I don't know, man. It makes you wonder, like, how good is Grant Dawson's chin? Maybe he's gotten away with just mauling these dudes and not having to take a bunch of punishment on the feet. Maybe he's not going to, have a ton of success if guys stuff his takedowns and he's forced to strike. So super interesting stuff. This game is crazy. If you bet $100 on every underdog in main events this year, I'd be really, really curious to see how much money you'd be up. Because as of late, Sean O'Malley, Sean Strickland, Bobby Green, even against Fazeev, Gamrot cash is a slight underdog. I mean, it's crazy. There's a lot of underdogs cashing in these main events.
Weird stuff happened in the main events. Flash knockout here last week. The injury week before that, or I guess 2 weeks was the Flash injury. Week before that, the draw. Week before that, Sean Strickland getting it done. So I mean, it's just a wild time to be betting on main events. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw it on a Full Send MMA Instagram story. If you bet $100 on every underdog in the main events, I think you're up like $1,000. So
Yeah.
that's pretty good money if you're just blindly tailing the underdog in every main event.
Right.
As far as Grant Dawson goes, I'm not ready to write him off. I think he's still very skilled. And honestly, in his next fight, I think we might get a discount on him because people, especially when he's a big favorite and he loses like that next fight, I think you're going to get a discount on him. I'm interested to see who they match him up with next or where he goes in the rankings based off of this. But I mean, the ground game is still super good. Obviously, the stand up is something that is not his strong suit. And I thought he'd be able to avoid it. But, 33 seconds, you can't avoid, the first onslaught by Bobby. And Bobby himself was even shocked, too. Like, he was shocked about it, too. He's like, I didn't even think I put him out. I'm kind of in disbelief. I think we all were. But, yeah, if you bet Bobby Green at that price, props to you for cashing the ticket. And, sometimes it's just better to take a dog shot, But yeah, that's all I got for the main event. You got anything else on that?
No, like you said, you're going to probably get a discount on Grant Dawson. And if you did want to bet him, but the number was too high this fight, just wait till the next one. Because like you said, he is still super talented. And maybe it was just one of those things that jab landed in the perfect spot, put him out, and he couldn't recover. Going forward, though, it's probably going to be a big learning lesson for him. That's only a second pro loss in over 22 fights. So, I mean, that's never a bad thing. He's younger. He's got a lot of career left in him. Yeah, big learning experience. I expect him to bounce back pretty good.
Yeah, first loss in the UFC.
Yep.
Joe Pyfer, Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Joe Pyfer get it done, second round sub. You called that one. That was your big hit of the night. I mean, I know a lot of people were kind of teasing that submission prop on Al Hassan because we know Pyfer can wrestle, and he was getting some good takedowns early, and he got I think 3 or 4 of them. Really nice. I mean, picked him up, slammed him. Like that's a part of his game that is going to be underrated moving forward because once you move up in the rankings, you got to have a complete game. He showed it out there, even on the feet, first round. I always like watching him strike because he's not crazy. Like he's super big. You watch him in there against Al Hassan, he looks huge. And he could easily just go in there and try to put him away early, stay patient. That's one thing I really like about Pyfer. He's super patient on the feet, look to pick his shots, and then mix it in the takedowns, get in the sub. Good improvements by Pyfer and a good showing out there. What'd you think?
Yeah, he's legit, man. We were talking about on the preview show that whatever he's got is, that superstar UFC potential. And, that's his all finishes so far in the UFC. I talked about on the show, man. I thought his wrestling is good and his grappling is good. He just never really shows it. But Al Hassan struggles with the takedowns. Al Hassan also has a ton of power. And I thought, if Joe Pyfer gets hit with just one of those shots, he's going to resort to it. But it didn't take him that. I mean, he went right for that takedown right off the bat. Got it really easily. And, eventually it got back up to the feet. He landed some good shots. We flew over on the significant strikes for Pyfer. And then, getting the second round submission right when he got that position, man. I was watching on my phone at the hockey game and I was like, this is going to hit. This is going to hit. And he tapped and we cashed it. And, that, like I said earlier, that put me up around 2.5 units or up 2.15 units. I mean, and if it wouldn't have hit, then we would have been, barely breaking even. So that was a good one to steal there. I'm super impressed with Pyfer, though. I think he's got so many fun fights, too, because of his personality. I think a lot of people like him. I think, wherever he fights next, whoever he fights next, is going to be a pretty big fight because there's almost no denying it anymore. He's coming off the two knockouts that he got in his first two fights, submits Al Hassan, and now you're looking at somebody a little bit better in his next fight because Al Hassan's a good fighter. He's got a lot of finishes, he's got a lot of power, and he finished him in the second round. So it's only up from here for Joe Pyfer.
Yeah, underrated part of his game is just how smart he plays stuff because path of least resistance is obviously go for the takedowns. And when he came out shooting a takedown in the first like 2 seconds, I was like, this guy is he's got a good game plan, and it's hard to not root for a guy like Pyfer. And moving forward, I kind of like his approach. Take it somewhat slow. If you're not getting the money to fight the big guys, why do it? And if you can, keep racking up UFC experience against these guys that are dangerous and keeps racking up wins, I'm interested to see where he goes from here and who he fights next. I saw someone put out a possible Pyfer versus Bo Nickel. That would be insane. I don't think that happens, but a future matchup maybe. I would like to see it. You got anything else on co-main?
No, yeah, that'd be a great matchup down the road. I don't think you can burn the star power and star potential quite yet on two undefeated fighters in the UFC, but down the road, if they're both in top 5, that's a massive fight.
Yeah. Joaquin Buckley, Alex Morono. I don't have too much on this one. I know a lot of people around Morono as a dog. I didn't have a great feeling going into it. I saw the possibilities to where Morono could win a decision. I didn't think he would knock out Buckley. But Buckley is just so explosive for 170. And the way he moves, I thought it would give Morono problems. Just he's always in and out. And it's super weird. Like he whiffs on a lot of shots. And some of that is just tough to deal with because he throws so many in combination and it's such a weird movement. That's why I just couldn't really go hard on Morono. I didn't really like Buckley too much at that price because Morono is, such a vet and he has a way of winning fights. So I pretty much just laid off for the most of it. I took Morono by decision just for a quarter unit, but yeah, Buckley gets the win. And he looked pretty dang good. What do you think?
Yeah, I took Morono in the third just in case. But I talked earlier in the week that I thought Buckley would win this fight just because he's looked good at 170. He's bigger, he hits hard. Morono takes a little damage here and there. But like you said, like when he's throwing those big shots, even though he's whiffing, like that's intimidating when you got a guy Buckley's size who swings that hard and he's throwing these massive shots with everything he has every time he throws, and they're in combination too. It's kind of hard if you're Morono to really get going or find your groove and get that fluidity you need to beat a guy like Buckley. Buckley's power and that aggressiveness really keeps guys off their toes. And I figured, Morono is a good boxer, but the only people beating Buckley are like these really slick boxers who have a lot of power, like Chris Curtis and Imavov. I didn't think Morono was quite there on the feet. So that's why I thought Buckley would win. I wasn't confident at that price. I thought it was a fight that should have been closer to 50-50. But at the end of the day, decent fight. Buckley got the win. I think he's got fun fights at welterweight. And I think he looks pretty good at 172. I think that's his weight class.
Yeah, underrated part for Buckley too, I think, is the cardio. Like, the way he's come out in third rounds, very impressive for a guy that's that muscular and that explosive. Still has it in the third round and completely put it on Morono in the third round. One of the judges gave him a 10-8. So yeah, Buckley could be a problem at 170. I don't think he's like top 10, top 5 material, but he's always going to be in there and giving a good fight and an exciting one. Drew Dober, Ricky Glenn, mismatch of the card, in my opinion. And Dober looked like he should have been minus 2,000 in there, man. He just, from the start, Ricky Glenn had no chance of standing with Drew Dober. Most knockouts in the lightweight division, Drew Dober is back. Didn't even have to really, test the chin at all because Ricky Glenn couldn't put anything together. And just the power in that left hand is deadly. Got anything on that one?
Yeah, just leading up to the fight, it's just one of those fights you knew that Ricky Glenn just didn't really have a chance. I mean, he's got power and stuff, but based off how he looked against, in his last fight, going up against a guy like Dober, who was a bulldog, who's tough and hits hard, I didn't think he had much of a chance. So props to Dober. Needed that win really, really bad. And how many wins does he have in the UFC now? It is a shitload. He's fought so many times, and it's kind of, you don't really think about how long he's been in the UFC or how many fights he has, but it's a ton. So
Yeah, he's
it's
got
always good to see Dober.
21 fights total, UFC 13 wins.
Yeah.
He was on that 3-win streak, lost to Frivola, and now he's back on track. Bill Algeo, Alex Hernandez, good showing for Bill Algeo. It's a tough frame and a tough style for a lot of guys, especially a guy like Hernandez who's gonna, rely on getting him on the inside, and Bill Algeo just couldn't or wouldn't let him in there. So I mean, stay to the outside, pick him apart, landed some good shots, landed a knockdown in round 2. Hernandez just really couldn't put much together. I mean, first round, it was an obvious round for Algeo. So round 2, it was looking like Hernandez was starting to, inch back into it. Algeo lands a knockdown. Round 3, Hernandez likely down 2-0. Put on a good showing in round 3, but either way, Bill Algeo, won it on the scorecards and clearly won the fight. Got anything on that one?
Yeah, Algeo looked good. I thought the pressure and the volume would be a little bit too much for Hernandez to overcome. Yeah, Hernandez slows down at times in fights, and I thought that was what was going to happen with the volume. But Hernandez did bounce back and look pretty good in the third. So he's starting to get a little better too. It's just taking some time. He's super athletic and he's super talented. So Bill Algeo is just like you said, he's a tough frame, and 6 foot tall at featherweight's tough to deal with.
Carolina now on a 4-fight win streak. Not sure what you do with her, considering she's 37 years old, but she's on a 4-fight win streak after losing 5 straight. And I mean, she called out Diana Belbita and won in this fight. And Belbita is like kind of at the bottom of the barrel. So I'm super pissed. I didn't absolutely nuke Carolina. I had a play on her on the money line, but it's only for a unit at minus, 138, minus 140, somewhere around there. I'm really pissed I didn't go harder on that because, she's just so technical and just a much better striker than a lot of these girls that are towards the bottom of the division. And she's really shown that over the last, 4 fights. And that's why she's racking up these wins, because she took a step down in competition. She's winning these fights pretty easily. So good bounce back for her. What'd you think?
Yeah, that was my biggest play of the night. 2 units on Carolina, and out of Belbita in her last fight, I just wasn't impressed, even in the win over Maria Oliveira. I thought if she fought that way against Carolina, Carolina was just going to outstrike her, put the pressure on her, be in her face. It's exactly what she did. I thought she looked pretty good. 37 years old, that's crazy, man. She's on this little streak right now. And it's like, what do you do with her? Like, do you let her keep climbing the ranks? And, at her age, trying to go on a run. But she looked good. She looked good. It wasn't the most fun fight to watch in the world, but she cashed the bet for us.
Mendonça Maness, you were texting me about it earlier in the week, and you were like, "Why should I? Tell me why I shouldn't take Nate Maness here." And I'm like,
man,
Mendonça went 3 rounds with Javid Basharat. He looked pretty dang good. He's young, shoot the box. He's getting better, and then he just thought he was in a leg lock competition and wouldn't let go of the leg. And when you're going for legs, you better get it, or you're gonna start taking some shots. And he was intent on getting that leg. Did not get it. Gets finished in the first round. That was one of the weirdest, game plans for Mendonça. I'm like, it's not like you're gonna get outstruck by Nate Maness. Like he's big for the 125, but I think he could take him on the feet, could take him on the ground. I just think that was a terrible game plan, and he loses. Yeah, that's all I got on that one. She got anything?
Oh man, I was just so I just should have trusted myself more and just hammered Maness, because it didn't even happen how I thought it would happen. I thought Mendonça would gas out a little bit and Maness would kind of turn it on after the first round and second round. But yeah, he got it done in the first, and right when he won, that's the first thing I thought of was me texting you guys and saying like, dude, Maness is gonna could win this fight very easily. I should take him as a big dog. I just didn't. I did take the under 2.5, which that felt good too. Won a unit on that fight. So, but yeah, I think Mendonça, it's weird, right? He's only fought twice in the UFC. He's got 2 losses, but you can tell he's a savage. He's really good. Mm-hmm. He's just fighting Basharat, and then this fight, I think he just had a lapse in judgment. Didn't have a great game plan, and he paid the price for it. But he's still got fun fights going forward. I just hope he doesn't turn into the 0-4 fighter that's super fun that everybody wants to watch, but can't find a win in the UFC. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe he came in with an injury and he was like, just needed a first round finish or something. But it was giving me flashbacks I forget his name, but the guy that was going for leg locks against Damon Blackshear just would not let go of it and just got ground and pounded out. I forget.
Lacerda, Daniel
Yeah,
Lacerda.
yeah.
Yeah. Or
There's
Luan Lacerda.
Luan Lacerda. Yeah,
Yeah.
him. That was complete flashbacks. It was like digging up. It's like, dude, let go of the leg. Like, you're not getting it. And he just keeps taking shots on the ground and gets finished. But yeah. The questionable decision of the night, Demopoulos, Murata. Obviously, we both won our bets on that one. So we're a bit biased. I thought first round, Demopoulos did more damage.
Yeah.
Round two, she's on her back for a majority of the round, but she's doing more damage from the bottom. Round three, clearly for Murata, Demopoulos didn't do as much damage there, but I thought it was chalk just on the base that, the judges are probably going to take the girl with the top position for majority of the round. Doesn't really matter about the damage, but we get the win, and Demopoulos gets the win. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is just the damage based. I mean, it's got to be the damage based, but it's kind of a weird thing moving forward because, like, taking the dog in women's MMA is always a solid move. I mean, I think both of them are 2 out of the 3 on the card won as a dog. So, I mean, we're on the right side there, but moving forward as far as scoring fights, like, if you're on top, you better be doing damage because if you're not doing damage, it's not going to look good for you. And Murata didn't do much. I mean, if you look at, their faces at the end of the fight, Murata had more damage on her face than Demopoulos did. So, what did you think of the decision?
Yeah, I thought Demopoulos won the first round. I mean, she was landing some damaging blows. Murata wasn't really doing much. But after that, man, I thought the judges would at least give it to Murata. I wasn't really thinking this was going to be Vanessa Demopoulos getting her name called at all, especially not a unanimous decision. Like, because that was all 3 judges' scorecards, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that wasn't a split decision just is crazy. When they announced unanimous decision, I thought it was Kanako Murata all day long. But take what you can get. I've been on the wrong side of bad judging for a long time, it feels like, and just to get this one felt really good, especially at these odds. But I mean, you look at the numbers, the striking numbers. Demopoulos, it was pretty even. She didn't quite land as many significant strikes as Murata, and she got taken down 5 times. So super surprising. But at the same time, like Murata, you get 5 takedowns, you should have more than 34 significant strikes. If you have that much, 12 minutes control time, 5 takedowns, like you should be doing something more with those takedowns. And Demopoulos was landing good elbows from the bottom. Maybe the judges just, they're really, really emphasizing this damage thing after the whole meeting about 10-8 rounds, going over judging and stuff. Maybe they're really keying in on a few of those things. So it might be something to think about going forward.
That's that stripper guard, man. It's dangerous. You don't want to sit in there. But yeah, I mean, I posted my reaction, and me and Matt we were sitting on the couch. We were like, dang, we lost.
Bet's toast.
Yeah, bet's toast. And then it gets read off, and we're like, what? Oh my god, it was a great beat for us. But Richie Long, Johnny Munoz. I got nothing on this one other than I cashed my over 2.5, so I was happy. I didn't really watch this one too closely, to be honest, because I just hate both of these fighters. I just don't really think they're too great. I mean, it wasn't really a great fight either. But what you got? Anything on this one?
I had Munoz on the money line, and for exactly what I saw in the first round. Like, that's what I thought would happen for more than one round. Like, he dominates the first round, takes the back for however many minutes, and then all he needs to do is that one more time throughout the fight, and he wins. And he just didn't do it. He gassed, looked like, got super uncomfortable on the feet. And from there, man, it's a frustrating fight when you're betting a fighter like that who has that good of a first round and does nothing the rest of the fight.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
First fight of the night. I don't want to go too much on this one, but man, just if you listen or watch my Instagram story, I was pissed because Montana De La Rosa. First of all, Montana De La Rosa, terrible game plan. But if you watch the fight, like, I thought it was pretty close. Like, all 3 rounds were pretty close. I would say first and the second were more close. Round 3, De La Rosa started to show more damage on her face. I thought, they'd probably give round 3 to JJ. ends up 30-27 on all judges' scorecards. If you were listening to the commentary was absolutely disgusting. I'm not going to lie. Like, I was baffled by how biased that commentary was. And I'm usually not one guy to like shit on the commentary, but DC and Felder must have had like some kind of script that they were reading off of, because I didn't understand how they can be like, oh, JJ is piecing her up. JJ is landing the better shots. JJ Aldrich has pillow hands, bro. She doesn't have any power in those things. She's got 10 wins by decision. She's got 3 wins by TKO or KO or TKO. One of them comes to Na Liang, who just completely gasses out after the first round. So if she hits you, it ain't going to hurt that bad. And Montana De La Rosa, terrible game plan, but she was able to stand and strike with her and land more strikes. Like, she was literally outlanding her first round, outlanded her second round. And then round 3, JJ Aldrich picks it up a little bit. So I thought going into that, I'm like, we got a chance at 29-28 here. Montana De La Rosa, 30-27. I'm not like too pissed about the decision because, our bet on De La Rosa, we're betting that based on she's going to go for some takedowns.
Exactly.
And mix that in. So I'm not even pissed about the decision. I'm pissed about the commentary. And I'm never like that. I'm never one to be like, this commentary is BS, but that was BS. That was complete BS. I don't know what they were on, but it felt like they were reading off a script, or they were trying to sway us in some way, because I was watching that fight like, are you watching the same fight I am? Like, this is a close fight, and you're acting like JJ Aldrich is like clearly winning this, and she's just not. So I was pissed. I think I could beat JJ Aldrich in 30 seconds. First round KO. Dunzo. That's all I got to say on that one. You got anything?
Yeah, you look at the numbers and the stats, and Montana De La Rosa was ahead of her on everything besides significant strike percentage. Like, that's it. And maybe strikes to the head. But I mean, man, like, you talk about the commentary, and I never really noticed it too much and never really paid attention, but you always hear like DC's bias and stuff. DC and Felder lately have been on one, dude. It's unreal. Like, even in that fight with Montana and JJ, there was a time when Montana landed a big left hand, and literally Felder said, "Wow, what a left hand by Aldrich there." And dude, they're just like keying in on Aldrich the whole entire fight, and it does make you think like Aldrich is winning this easy. But if you really watch it with no sound, no commentary, like, that's a close fight, and everything JJ was landing was when she was moving backwards, and Montana's the one pushing the pace. And it just sucks. It was a close fight. 30-27 seemed a little wild to me. I thought you could give at least Montana the first round, or give her one round. I mean, she either tied or outlanded her in every single round by a strike or so, threw more volume in the first couple of rounds, and just got no love in there. But at the same time, like, she's got to have better fight IQ. She's got to go for takedowns, or at least tie her up and make the fight dirty. And she just didn't at all. Like, I don't think JJ is good whatsoever. Not that Montana De La Rosa is a phenomenal fighter by any means, but I don't know. It's just frustrating when you don't go to your best weapons in a fight against a fighter like Aldrich, who's not that good. But yeah, you're right about DC and Felder, man. DC was, every time JJ would land, he acted like, oh, that one hurt De La Rosa. That one hurt her really bad. Montana would land a shot and you'd hear just silence out of him. So that sucks. I hate seeing that shit too, because it does sway people's opinions at home. And it's hard to listen to at times.
Yeah, and I had a couple of people DM me saying, I watched the fight without sound because they're, doing whatever, and they thought De La Rosa won. So I'm like, yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't know if the judges are here and what they're saying, but maybe in the
Apex,
you never know. But even if you check out the significant strike totals now, after the fight, it was like JJ Aldrich outstruck her by like 3, and then they usually do the adjustments. Look at the adjusted significant strikes. Montana De La Rosa outstruck her in every round. So that is what it is. But yeah, that is the game. And that's usually why you don't bet on women's MMA. You get those close fights that are super subjective, and you're at the mercy of the judges. So there's that. Or maybe the mercy of the commentary. So that's the recap for UFC Vegas 80. We'll be back with breaking down UFC Vegas 81 We're back at the Apex next week. But before that, we'll break down Dana White Contender Series for the last week. So stay tuned to that for the channel. As always, if you want to get it on the Double Leg Premium, the link is in the description. Gets you every single UFC card for every week, less than $1 a day. So, I mean, you're getting a dang good value there. We got some good cards coming up. UFC 294 in a couple weeks. Get in on that. And then if you want the Dana White Contender Series picks, we'll be breaking those down in the next video. But those are free Tuesday night, instant download, absolutely free. And hopefully we can keep the profit train rolling. And hopefully we can bust open a big night moving forward. But yeah, that's the recap. Stay tuned at the Double Leg on Instagram. Be updated on everything at HeyJai Picks on the medias from me. Where can they find you?
All social media is at the Parlay MMA.
All right, till the next video, the Double Leg signing out.